Well, good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you all to this month's episode of Lunch and Learn. And our mission with these sessions is to teach you something that you want to go away and give a try for yourself. So welcome to all those in the attendee list this afternoon. Look forward to sharing some insights with you. So today we're going to be talking about Microsoft To Do. Before we jump into a live demonstration with tips and how we get started and organized, let's just briefly discuss what Microsoft To Do actually is. So we're all busy. I'm sure you are as well. And everyone has lots to do. And the pace of life seems to be getting faster, doesn't it? And our work and our personal lives are full of tasks that just need completing. Some of them are important, some are urgent, and some just need to be done at some point in time. So where do you keep that list of tasks? Well, many people would say, well, I keep it up here in my head. Others may use their email inbox. Some may be a bit better organized and have a list on the fridge or a series of post-it notes on a notice board. And maybe some of you here are a bit more tech savvy and you may use a notepad on your smartphone and then you delete or cross out the tasks that you have done. Well, the thing is, none of those options are particularly scalable and they're quite limited in who you can share that list of tasks with others. So let's jump straight in. I'm going to do a screen share. So hopefully you can see that okay. So Microsoft To Do, let me introduce this to you. This is an app that works on multiple devices. And you can see here on screen the URL that you can go to download and start using Microsoft To Do. It's available as a desktop app on Windows and Mac. It's available as a mobile app for Apple or Android. There's also a web app as well. It also integrates with other Microsoft apps, Outlook, Teams, and Planner. So here's the URL you can go to just download for the relevant sort of device that you're on, or just go to your preferred app store on your device, search for Microsoft To Do, and you're looking for that blue tick, not the sponsored links. So we're going to use the Windows app, which I've already downloaded from the Microsoft Store. So let me just open that on screen now. Oh, this is fun. This is a theme that Microsoft have got called smiling faces, creatures with smiling faces. You might appreciate that yourself. So I'm going to open up my To-Do app. Now it's available through my Start menu, but I've pinned it to my taskbar. And this is Microsoft To Do. Now, if you run it for the first time, you'll need to sign in, and we'll show you how to do that in a second. If you have a Microsoft 365 business account, then you can sign in with that, your work account. But you can also get started for free with a Microsoft account. And that's free for personal use. Some of the functionality won't be there, but most of it will be. And the web-based version as well looks very similar to this app version with just a few differences. Let's just quickly go over the interface that we can see on screen here. In the top left corner, you can see my demo user's name here. Let's click on the name. And we get a couple of options here. If I click on Manage Accounts, you'll see here I'm signed in with my account, but I can also add another account. So you can use multiple accounts in Microsoft To Do if you want to keep things really separate. If I click Add an Account, this is what it looks like when you go to sign in. And you have to choose Workplace or School or Microsoft account. So you would choose your relevant option, hit Continue, and enter your login details. Okay, let's just go back to our icon up here and click on Settings. Just want to briefly go over some of the settings that you can configure in Microsoft To Do, and this will give you a bit of a taste of what's possible as well. So you'll see here under General Settings, there's a number of toggles. Add new tasks on top. So when you create a new task, it appears at the top of that relevant list. Move starred tasks to top. So anything that's important or starred will be at the top of the list as well. This is probably the most satisfying feature of Microsoft To Do, the completion sound. When you've done a task, you can tick it and you get a wonderful ding, and there's a sense of satisfaction that comes with that. If you're going to delete tasks, you don't want to accidentally delete, so this confirm option here prevents you from accidentally deleting your tasks. I recommend this as well, Auto Start To Do with Windows Startup. So it's always running and ready to prompt you, and you can throw tasks in there as they appear. There's some other options if I scroll down. There's a theme option where you can choose light or dark, and some people do like, for various reasons, to choose a different theme from their system default. And we have a what called smart lists. And we're going to go into more detail in what they are in a moment, but you'll see you can toggle them on and off. And down here, we've got connected apps, Planner, and Outlook are enabled by default. And we'll look at those in a second. Let's come away from settings. and look at the rest of the screen now. So underneath our button here, there's a search option here where we can search for tasks. But you'll notice here, there's a whole list of different sort of task types that are here above this sort of very faint line. Now, these lists here above are called smart lists. They're like filters. So for example, here, we've got one here called My Day. If I click into My Day, it shows me tasks that are relevant for today. We've got one here called Important. So when we star a task in to do, it automatically appears here in the important list, but it also stays in its original list where we created it. You'll see how that works in a moment. And then we have planned. Now, planned is where tasks have either have got a due date on them, and you'll see here how it sorts them by what's due later and stuff that's overdue as well. You see it's marked in red there. That was supposed to be done on Monday the 15th of January and wasn't done. So the planned list helps you to view and filter and sort your tasks by the date that they are due. So there's a number of ways you can view your tasks there. So let's very quickly now create a task and just see how easy that is. So I want to click on the My Task list here. This is my list of tasks. You saw some of these in the smart list here. And at the very bottom of the screen, we have Add a Task. So let's just create a simple task. I'm going to click into that box. I'm going to type in, I want to plan my business expo in for Newcastle. Okay, and all I have to do, once I spell it correctly, is press enter. And my task has now appears at the top of the list, because you remember the newest tasks appear at the top if you have that option set. So if I click on the task that I've just created, on the right-hand side, a pane pops out. And you'll notice here, here's the name. So I've actually mistyped slightly, so I can just click on the name and I can correct that now. And I can add what are called steps. So this task has multiple steps to it. So if I click on add a step, for instance, I can say, well, perhaps I need to organize the publicity. Press enter. I need to sort out the signage and the stand that I'm going to have at the expo. Press enter. And sort out the travel arrangements for the team. And I also need to sort out a hotel, because Newcastle's a bit of a long way to drive in one day. So I've now got multiple steps here that I've added for my task. You'll see some other options that are below this as well. So we've got the option here to add to My Day. So My Day, these are tasks that need to be done today. So I can click on that, and it's now, you'll notice the number now next to that is 2. There are 2 tasks now in My Day. In fact, let's look at that. And you'll see there's my planned business expo for Newcastle. I'm going to go back into that task. Let's carry on looking at the other options. You'll see there's a reminder option here. I can click on the reminder, and it suggests some days and times that a notification will pop up on screen, but I can pick a date and time as well, pick the 15th of February, and I can choose my time as well from the list that's here, and then hit the tick and save. And that's now going to remind me in 2 days' time at 1 o'clock. I can add a due date. So that's different from a reminder. I can say this task needs to be sorted out really by the end of February. Save. Okay. You can have repeating tasks as well. You can add notes that are in there as well. And up in the top right corner here, we can click the star to make this an important task as well. So not only would it appear in My Day, because I've added it to My Day, it would also appear in important, but the task lives in the My Task list that's here. Okay, you'll notice I skipped over a couple there, assign to. So you can actually assign tasks to other people in your organization, and you can add attachments as well. Okay, so we talked about the smart lists at the top of the screen here. What are these lists down here? Well, these are actual lists of tasks, and you can create multiple lists. So rather than just throwing everything into one list, you can organize things. So for example, down the bottom here, I can click New List, and I'm going to create this called Personal. Okay, I'm going to create another list here called My Work. And I'm going to create another list here. In fact, let's create a few. This is the London Business Expo that we're planning. I'm going to go to the Southampton one. And we'll add another list for our Newcastle one as well. Okay, so we can see here now, I've created multiple lists that are currently empty. If I click on Southampton, that's empty. I click on London, that's empty. But I can create tasks that are in there. Now you can sort these by grabbing them and moving them around the list. So I can put London Business Expo at the top of my list here, and any tasks that I create in here, that will always be pinned there as such. Okay, we can also create what's called a group of lists, which is quite handy for sorting. So under new list here to the right, there's an option here to create a new group. So let's just call this group Business Expos, because I've got a number of business expos that I'm planning for this year. And what I can do now, I can right click on the London Business Expo here, and I can move it to the Business Expos group. I can do the same with Southampton, move to Business Expos, and right click on Newcastle, move list to Business Expos. And if I expand that now, by dropping that down, you'll see my lists here are all in the order that I want them to be, because I can drag them around as well. So it's a nice way to organize your tasks into groups of tasks and have the view nice and tidy. Okay, so the London Business Expo, we need to work with some others on this particular expo. So the tasks that I create, I want to share with a work colleague of mine. So as I've clicked on London Business Expo here, you'll see in the top right corner, there is a share list button here. Let's click on that, and I'm going to add a list member so others can access this. And I can search here for Fred in my business, click on that, and I can invite Fred here by email. So let's do that. And we're going to share that using Outlook. Okay, so the experience I got earlier was a little bit different. This is the problem with live demonstrations. Let's copy the link, and I'm going to send Fred an email. In fact, let's send Fred an email. So I'm going to send Fred an email, London list, paste that in there, and send that. Okay, so if I now jump into a different browser where I'm actually signed in as Fred here, you'll see the emails just come in from John. Here is the London list. So I can click on that. That'll open up in my browser here. Let me just maximize that. I'll click join list. So I'm Fred, I'm joining John's list. And I can now, as Fred, access the London Business Expo list here. So Fred's hire car. Fred's now creating a task to organize the hire car. Okay, let's go back to do as John, and let's just close the sharing list here. You'll see that Fred's task has already been added to the list. So we can now collaborate, share, work together in this particular list. If you ever want to remove someone, you can click on the sharing button and you can remove people so they no longer have access to your list. Now, this is really good, isn't it? I'm sure you'll agree with that. It's very easy to use, and the experience you get across all your devices, whether it's on the Windows here, or it's on Mac, whether it's in the cloud, or if your smartphone or tablet, the experience is exactly the same, and all your data is synchronized. Now, we talked about how To Do actually integrates with Microsoft Outlook. So let's open up Outlook on our computer here. You'll see on the left-hand pane here, I've got my email, my calendar, my people, and I've got To Do. Now, this replaced the old tasks options that Outlook used to have. So if we click on To Do, you'll see here that the view is ever so slightly different from what we saw, but the same content is there. There's our business expos. Here's our smart lists and so on. So that's really handy. You can access To Do from inside Microsoft Outlook, and that applies also to Outlook in the web. Now, there's something you can do in Outlook, which is quite useful. If I go back to my email, and let's pick an email here. These are mostly junk, but let's say this email here from our friends at HubSpot. You notice there's a flag feature in Outlook where you can flag emails for future attention. Now, you can just click on the flag, or you can right click on the flag, and you can actually pick a time scale as to when you want to action this email by. So let's say we want to do this by next week. So I click on that email, and it's now flagged and highlighted here in my inbox. But if I go back to Do, we'll do that in the app here. You'll notice here there's a flagged email option here. Now, if I just force things to sync, here we go. So there's sometimes a delay on the synchronization, but you can force To Do to sync. But you'll see here, this is the email that we received from HubSpot. And when I click on it here, here are some details. So I can add some extra notes. Let's say there's an email from a customer requesting some information, and I want to add that to my to-do list. This is a nice way to do so. It's picked up the dates because we selected next week, didn't we, when it's due. And I can set a reminder as well, or add it to my day, so I actually get on with that task. So Outlook and To Do synchronize quite nicely with the To Do tasks and also with flagging of email. Let's tick that. That's now been done. It's crossed it out. You wouldn't have heard the ding. I did. I'm feeling very satisfied. And now I know that task has been completed. Now, we also said that it integrates with Microsoft Teams. So let's just minimize this. I'm going to go into Microsoft Teams. Now, one of the things that you can do in Teams here is you can click on the apps button on the left-hand side. And in here, if you search for the word tasks, it'll bring up some suggestions. And you'll see here there's a task called Tasks by Planner and To Do. Now, it may not be installed already, so that may say add, so that adds that app into your Teams environment. It's quick and easy to do. Mine's already added, so I just click on Open, and it pins it down the left-hand side here. And you'll see here that in Teams, I've got my to-do list. Again, looks very slightly different, but the content is all there. And I can now, in Teams, using sharing, work on these lists here with different people in my organization as well. And there's one final integration I want to show you as well. So let's minimize Teams. And I'm going to go into, let's go into Microsoft Edge here. And I'm going to go to Planner. Now you can get to Planner. If you go to office.com, you can click on the app picker in the top left there. And if Planner's not in your list like it is on mine, you can explore all the apps, find Planner in the list of apps, and that will then pin that to your list of apps here. Now I've bookmarked it for expedience here. This is Microsoft Planner. Now we're going to do a future session on Microsoft Planner soon, but to whet your appetite for that, just going to use Planner to create a set of tasks where different people in my business need to see those tasks, the progress of those tasks, and collaborate on it together. So what we're going to do, we're presented with a button here, create a plan. So let's create our plan. There's a few templates that Microsoft give you. We're just going to start with a blank one. I'm going to give it a name. So this is going to be the Business Expo Southampton. Okay, I can add this to an existing group of plans that are here. I can also set some privacy. Let's just click create. A plan's going to get created inside Planner. Okay, and we've got here a bucket of tasks there, which is empty at the moment, called to do. Now I can share this planner with multiple people in my organization. So if I click on members here, I can add a member. So I'm going to add this Fred to my planner. And now John and Fred are now shown as members of my plan. Let's create some tasks. So let's create some random tasks. So we're going to organize the hotel. Again, please excuse my my spellings. We'll set a due date as well. We'll do that by the end of next week. I'm going to assign this task to Fred and then add. Now I can add another task, organize stand and printing, for example. And I can set a due date on that. We need to do that by 28th. I'm going to assign that to John, like so, and then add task. So now we can see I've got some badly spelled tasks in my planner. If I jump back to Microsoft To Do and go to the assigned to me option here, again, if I just force a synchronization, here we go. That task we just created in Planner has now appeared in my tasks, and I can click on that. I can add that to my day if I want to. So if I go to my day, you'll see there it is there. I can now add some notes, or I can mark it as complete. And it's now marked as complete. So if I now go back to my planner in Microsoft Edge here, if I just refresh my screen with the F5 button, you'll see that under completed tasks, that particular task was completed by John on the 13th of February. So that's a really great integration. And again, like I said, we'll do a session on Planner in the future, near future. But here is where you can manage your tasks. You can view them as a grid, or you can see them as charts and a schedule on a calendar as well from when you set your due date. So I won't go too much into that. So that's pretty much it for Microsoft To Do. It's a very easy app to use. I'm just going to stop my screen share. So it's a very easy app to use. Now, one of the great features of the mobile app, which I obviously can't easily demonstrate live to you now, is the ability to add tasks to your to-do lists by voice. So for instance, if you had it installed on an iPhone or an Android phone, you would use the relevant Siri or Hey Google command, say add a task, and then tell Siri what the task should be called. So create add task London Business Expo, and that will automatically, just through your voice, add the task into your Microsoft To Do. The same on an Android phone as well. So no matter where you are, if something pops into your head like it does with mine, you can quickly instruct your smartphone without even touching it to add that task to your list. That also works on Alexa devices as well, so you can do the same there. So hopefully you found that useful. Has it motivated you to start recording some of those tasks on your list into Microsoft To Do and collaborating or delegating to others as well? That's a really efficient way of working, and like I said earlier, very satisfying as well, because it can be overwhelming, can't it, at times? So I really like to thank you for your time you've given to us this afternoon. Hopefully you've got something valuable from that. So enjoy the rest of your February and look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.